At the age of 33, Tyson Fury is already a British legend in the world of boxing. One of the greatest heavyweights of all time, Tyson Fury was practically thrown into the world of boxing since the day he was born.
Look at Fury! What unbelievable!
But before he turned into one of the greatest boxers in the world, he was just a struggling boy from Manchester, England. The Gypsy King we know today wasn't even a gypsy prince in those days, and that's why in this video, we'll be taking a look at the incredible life and career of Tyson Fury. Let's dive in.
Another good left hand from Fury.
The closest they ever came to losing was, this.
Tyson Fury was born on August 12, 1988, to an Irish gypsy family in Manchester. When you look at Tyson's size today, you wouldn't really guess that he was born prematurely, weighing only 1 pound. Tyson's parents had 2 other children born prematurely, neither of whom survived, but Fury was a fighter from the very beginning. Because of that, his father decided to name him Tyson, in honor of his favorite fighter.
Mike Tyson wins. We make it after 58 seconds.
Now, Tyson's household growing up was extremely dysfunctional. Being Irish travelers, they were constantly moving from one temporary campsite to another, often without a roof over their heads. He had problems getting Irish citizenship, and to make matters worse, Tyson's mother got pregnant a total of 14 times, with only 4 of the children surviving. One of his mother's miscarriages had a profound effect on Tyson when he was just 9. Because of the nature of his lifestyle, he often was left to fend for himself at a young age, which led to him getting involved in street fights since his early childhood. By 11, he was already out of school, working full-time with his father paving and fixing roads. Boxing was a long tradition within the Fury family. His father, and many of his distant relatives, had successful amateur and professional boxing careers, and considering Fury was even named after one of the most iconic boxers of all time, it seemed like picking up boxing was the natural next step for his life. Fury started amateur boxing when he was just 14 years of age. He joined a local club, and he was described as being naturally gifted. By now, Fury had grown to be 6 feet 5. Apparently, during Fury's first ever boxing match, he was able to easily secure the win because his opponent ran away upon seeing just how massive Fury was. Tyson's father wanted to see this talent for himself, so he, being a former boxer himself, challenged Tyson to a match. In just one blow, Tyson was able to break his father's ribs. Needless to say, his father gave up his own career in order to help his son train and become a better boxer. He started to represent Ireland in amateur boxing competitions around the world in 2006. At the age of 18, he won bronze in the 2006 IBO Youth World Boxing Championships and won the EU Junior Championship in 2007. In 2008, he won the ABA Super Heavyweight Championship, and things were looking up for his career. Tyson had his eyes set on one goal: the Olympics.
And for the first time in Olympic boxing history, it's going to be a final between Great Britain and Ireland.
However, he was not chosen among the players who would be sent to the Olympics by either Ireland or Great Britain. Also, because of the fact that he wasn't born in Ireland, he was forced to withdraw from the Irish National Championships. All of this led to Tyson Fury getting really pissed off at the amateur boxing world. He felt like he wasn't being taken seriously, and he suspected that his Gypsy background had something to do with the fact that he wasn't getting the recognition he deserved. Fed up, Fury decided to end his amateur boxing career with a record of 31 wins. He signed with promoter Mick Hennessy in 2008 at the age of 20 and finally became a professional boxer. Around the same time, he married his girlfriend of 3 years, Paris, to whom he remains married to this day.
We met at a wedding and we bumped into one another, and like an old auntie who's sort of a bit of a matchmaker in the family, she sort of bumped us into each other on purpose and was like, "Hi, this is my nephew, this is my niece, would you like to talk to one another?" And obviously Tyson looked about 30-year-old then, and I was 15, so I sort of scarpered the other way.
Because you said he was so tall and didn't look his age, he didn't look 17 at all.
Well, he had a beard at like 14, full beard, 6'6", so he never ever looked his age. People when we was younger used to presume that he was my dad.
But now let us turn our attention to this remarkable and very big young man. 20-year-old Tyson Fury, named after Iron Mike himself. He is 6'9" tall. He comes in around 19 stone, and promoter Mick Hennessy reckons.
After signing with Hennessy, Tyson was set to compete in his first professional boxing match on December 6, 2008, against Bela Gianniosi from Hungary.
Tyson Fury. He was the ABA Super Heavyweight Champion, and tonight he will be making his professional boxing debut.
Tyson won that match within 2 minutes and 14 seconds with a technical knockout.
And Howard Foster says no more, and Fury has started with a first-round victory. Put his punches together well. He's going to have far sterner tests ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the official time. 2 minutes, 14 seconds of round number 1. Our referee in charge, Howard Foster, stops the contest. Your winner tonight in his professional boxing debut, Tyson Fury.
2 minutes, 14 seconds.
A month later, he faced off against Marcel Zeller from Germany, and once again, he secured a TKO victory within 3 minutes.
But in the third round, the fight is over, and Tyson has won. Tyson Fury has won for a second time.
Tyson's rise in the boxing world was almost instantaneous, and he kept winning match after match, knockout after knockout, along with a few wins by split decision. By September of that same year, Tyson's streak was 7-0, and for the first time, he had a professional title opportunity. He was set to face John McDermott, the English heavyweight champion, on September 11, 2009.
Good evening, fight fans, and a warm welcome to viewers at home joining us live and exclusive here on Sky Sports Friday Fight Night from the Brentwood Centre here in Essex. You now join us for our feature presentation. Please welcome firstly to the ring the challenger from Manchester, Tyson Fury.
This was the first big fight of his career.
Please welcome to the ring your champion from Horndon, John McDermott.
The match went on for 10 full rounds. In the end, Tyson managed to secure the victory and win the title, but that caused quite a bit of controversy.
The bell's going to go any second. A right hand from McDermott. Will that seal the victory? Terry O'Connor gives it to Tyson Fury. Wow, wow, wow.
I would definitely have a rematch. some confused faces around us at ringside. One of them, David Hay, how did you score it?
I scored it 4 rounds for McDermott. You know, I thought he did the better work, landed the cleaner punches. But nevertheless, what a terrific fight. Both of the guys, full respect to both of them. You know, they weren't just scoring the fight, the referee was. But you know, I had McDermott. I'm not a judge. I'm a boxer. That's how I would have scored if I was a ref. But you know, when you're in there, like the referee was, he sees it how he sees it, and that's why he's in there for his opinion.
The 98-92 decision by the referee was so controversial that the British Boxing Board of Control made it mandatory from that moment on to have a total of 3 judges for a decision, rather than just 1. They also ordered a ring match between McDermott and Fury.
The first fight sparked outrage and even led to a change in the rules. Now the stakes are even higher, with the winner getting a shot at the British heavyweight title.
9 months after their first ferocious battle was overshadowed by referee Terry O'Connor's controversial scoring.
During the rematch, Fury defeated McDermott once again with a TKO, finally gaining the vacated English heavyweight title on June 25, 2010. No controversy this time.
I knew that I have that power to knock him out.
He then had a string of victories against foreign boxers like Rich Power, Zach Page, and Marcelo Luis Nascimento. All signs pointed towards him starting to compete for world titles. Throughout this time, Fury had been trained by his father, John Fury. But trouble came in 2011, when John was convicted of assault and sentenced to 11 years in prison. After the conviction, Tyson's uncle, Peter Fury, took over responsibilities as his trainer. Tyson was set to have the biggest match of his career on July 23, 2011. He was going to face Derek Chisora in a fight for both the British and Commonwealth heavyweight titles at Wembley Stadium. 3 million viewers tuned into the match, and Derek was the favorite to win. Truth be told, both of them were undefeated, but Derek's victories weren't nearly as controversial as Fury's, and roughly speaking, he was much more respected by the audience.
In round 9, 4 rounds to go. Neither man has ever seen this 12th round, and they are both fatigued, and that means anything can happen.
In the end, Fury managed to beat Chisora with a unanimous decision, winning both the British and Commonwealth heavyweight titles.
Rises to 2 warriors here. Big occasions can disappear.
2 victories later, Fury also snatched the Irish heavyweight title from Martin Rogan in April of 2012.
Again, Rogan smiles, but it looks less convincing now than it did earlier on. Good combination again, and that has really hurt Rogan. Left to the body from Fury, and he's
still undefeated, and now the Irish heavyweight champion, Tyson Fury.
This opened the door for a WBC title for the first time in his career. He faced off against Vinny Madelon and managed to TKO him in less than 2 minutes, taking home the vacant WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight title. This match is considered by many to be the beginning of Fury's domination of the heavyweight scene. For the next 2 years, Fury continued his undefeated streak, beating the likes of Kevin Johnson, Steve Cunningham, and Joey Abel. However, he started to get into controversies outside of the boxing world, and this seriously damaged his reputation and prevented sponsors from working with him. He said that he would hang his sister if she was promiscuous, and he also made negative remarks about the LGBT and Jewish communities.
Be brainwashed by all the Zionist Jewish people who own all the banks, all the papers, all the TV stations, and have a nice time in hell with the devil.
And if I'm going to get in trouble for that, I'll say it again. Women look good in dresses. You know, men don't look good in dresses. Women do. And what? Is that bad, Cougar?
No. Later in his career, Fury would say he regrets those remarks. He said, "I felt I had to act out a role to seek publicity, and to do that, I had to be controversial and shock people with how I talked. To some degree, it worked. But playing the role got to the point where I didn't know what was real and what was the act."
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you and welcome to the XL Arena here in London as Frank Warren.
On November 29, 2014, Fury faced off against his former rival, Derek Chisora, for 3 minor titles: the European, WBO International, and vacant British heavyweight titles. Fury naturally dominated the entire match and pulled off a victory with a unanimous decision.
I'm very proud of my performance. I dedicate it to my Uncle Huey. My Uncle Peter got me there, along with all the Spire and all the boys in the gym. Big shout out to my dad, who I know is watching. He's probably crying by now. These are coming home to Manchester, la la la.
In 2015, he continued his dominating journey, and he was given the biggest opportunity of his life: a match against Wladimir Klitschko for the WBA, IBF, WBO, IBO, and The Ring heavyweight titles. Even though Klitschko was the clear favorite, Fury had a real chance of winning.
I'm interested in breaking your face in. That's what I'm interested in. Yeah, you're boring. I want to rid you out of the heavyweight division. Your jab and grab style, surely all of Europe wants to see you get beaten. And all of Europe and the rest of the world will see you get beaten. You have about as much charisma as my underpants. 0. None.
The fight took place in front of 55,000 people at the Esprit Arena in Dusseldorf, Germany. Fury ended up winning the match in a unanimous decision. But shortly after his big win, Fury started to struggle with depression, substance abuse, and drinking. He would later reveal that he contemplated ending his own life by driving his Ferrari off a bridge. He said, "I didn't care anymore about boxing, about living. I just wanted to die. But I was going to have a good time doing it."
But there was a number of years where I did not want to live on a daily basis. I said to God, why have you let me wake up this morning? Why didn't I die in my sleep? And I had no real reason. There wasn't one thing that made this happen. This is a continuous journey for years and years and years of depression and anxiety. I've been suffering with it my whole life. You know, I was a little boy and I didn't know what this feeling was. I used to feel horrible, terrible, feel like I was being left behind or something was wrong, and even though nothing was wrong. And I later found out, 27 years later, that it was anxiety that I've been suffering with my whole life. The feeling that something's about to happen and nothing happens.
He started to gain a lot of weight, ballooning to 400 pounds, which led to him being stripped of all of his titles.
I was 400 pounds in weight. They stripped all my belts off me, or I'd vacated them. I was a shadow of my former glory. I looked in the mirror and I was embarrassed, ashamed, let down, disappointed. But at this time I still wasn't educated on mental health. I'm still thinking that I'm a piece of and you know, I'm a weak person and all these type of things that are running through my mind all the time. And it was only when I saw doctors and professional help, people who specialise in these problems, that I was coming to grips with what I was suffering with. And it is a disease. It's a disease like no other because no one can see it.
But by 2018, Fury began to turn his life around. He apologized for some of his past behavior and started to get into shape again. This led to him signing a massive $103 million 5-fight television deal with ESPN. He followed this off with 2 more victories before he landed a match with the reigning WBC champion, Deontay Wilder.
Ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from Staples Center in Los Angeles, it's showtime!
Both of these men were undefeated, and it was clear that some streak had to be broken here. Fury wanted to make sure it wasn't his. The match was scheduled to take place on December 1st, 2018, and there was a lot of build-up and hype surrounding it. Streak versus streak matches are always exciting to see, and many Fury haters were clamoring for an opportunity to see him lose.
Wilder looking for his opening.
During the match, Wilder landed 71 punches of 430 thrown, giving him a 17% accuracy, while Fury landed 84 punches of his 327 thrown, giving him a 26% accuracy. The fight was pretty balanced, with Fury having a slight edge over Wilder. But when it was time to make a decision, the judges were split. The scorecard had 115-111 for Wilder and 114-112 for Fury, and the match was officially declared a draw.
Split decision draw.
A split decision draw.
Pretty much everyone saw this as a daylight robbery for what should have been an easy Fury victory. Even people who were rooting against him thought that the decision was unfair. But regardless, Fury and Wilder were both still undefeated, but they had one draw on their record, something that neither man wanted. After this match, Fury further established himself in the Las Vegas scene, winning against Tom Schwarz and Otto Wallen with a TKO and unanimous decision respectively in 2019. Around 2020, Fury once again had an opportunity to win the WBO championship against Deontay Wilder. Fury managed to handily defeat Wilder in the 7th round with a TKO.
It's over! Tyson Fury has become the new WBC heavyweight champion of the world!
It was truly one of the most incredible moments in 21st century boxing, especially considering that only a couple of years before, Fury was 400 pounds and contemplating the end of his life. He had hit rock bottom, his reputation was ruined, and he had fallen down a spiral that boxers rarely come out on top from. It was the comeback story of the century, and he was now the WBO champion. The match sold 850,000 pay-per-view tickets in the US alone, making it one of the most successful matches of the year. On the other hand, Wilder's undefeated streak was finally broken. The contract for their fight stipulated that the loser could ask for a rematch, and that's exactly what Wilder did. Although the stakes weren't as high as before, the second time around, people still got pumped as Fury was quickly turning into a living legend of boxing. Many started to compare him to the likes of Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, both of whom had their fair share of controversies. During their rematch that took place more than a year later, both men had an incredible showing. The fight lasted 11 rounds, before Fury completely knocked out Wilder, securing the win, the title, and his streak.
The undefeated WBC and lineal heavyweight champion of the world, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury!
After winning the fight of the year and pretty much securing himself as one of the best boxers in history, there isn't really a lot left for Fury to accomplish. For now, he's going to stick to defending his titles, his streak, and raising his 5 children.
Don't crazy go by. Oh, you need that kid in. Oh.
Fury is currently set to face off against his mandatory challenger, Dillian Whyte. In April of 2022, Whyte is going to be a tough challenger, considering he has only lost 2 matches in his professional boxing career. But Fury is still the favorite going into the match. Only time will tell how much Fury is going to solidify his legend status from this point forward.
It's not only a miracle, but a blessing from God as well. After only 2 years ago, being on the verge of suicide and being as low as any man can go, to being on the biggest stage in the world with the world watching. If that ain't a miracle and a turnaround and a true show that anybody can come back from anything, then I don't know what is.